guys, I'm Polly, also known as Pollygone Illustration, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can create your own sublimation phone cases. I've had a lot of questions recently about how you can make them, so I thought I would do a tutorial video. So I'm going to talk you through the processes of setting up your files, designing your cases, printing on them, and the supplies you will need to make your phone cases. So you'll be able to make the best phone cases for your customers too. I'm a freelance illustrator and animator, so I design all the phone cases myself, and then I sell them on my online shop, which is linked down below in the description if you want to go and check it out. So let's go and get started. Supplies you will need to make your own phone cases. So, to start off with, you are going to need the supplies to create your phone cases. Sublimation printing is quite expensive to kind of invest in. I think I spent about £500 when I first started sublimation printing, but obviously there are cheaper options that you can go for, but that's how much I ended up spending with all the supplies I had to get for it. So, first of all, you're going to need to have a heat press. Then you're going to need to get a printer which is suitable for sublimation printing. I am using an EcoTank at the moment, which I really like so much. I did have another printer before this one and it didn't really work out for me, and I did end up having to return it. I will talk more about that later on in the video, but it is super important that you get a good printer to get really good results, and it will make your life so much easier too. Then you will need sublimation inks, then the sublimation paper. I have two different types of sublimation paper. I have this A4 paper, and then I have this smaller sublimation paper which is 9.9 centimeters by 21 centimeters. I use this to sublimate on my phone cases, but you can use either type or any other size that you can get your hands on that would fit into your printer. Then you need a computer or a laptop, an iPad, or anything that you could use to design and then print off your phone cases. Personally, I use Procreate most of the time, and then I airdrop my files to my computer, where I might do additional editing on Photoshop. But with my phone cases, I'm pretty much just print them off as they are, except you will need to rotate the image so it's flipped to the other side, especially if you have text on your design. And obviously you're going to need the software as well. There's a range of different softwares you can get, but I would recommend Procreate and Photoshop as they are my favorites. You also need heat resistant tape to make sure your design stays secure on your phone case. And then last but not least, you will need your sublimation blanks. So I use these phone case sublimation blanks to print on. There's actually several different types of phone case blanks you can get, so you might want to buy several different types to see which one works best for you. There are different types of phone cases available. You can get Apple and Samsung and some other phones. However, it is kind of restrictive to only the most popular cases are made into sublimation blanks. This is just kind of unfortunate, but that is how it is. I at the moment stock all Apple phones, I think from like 5 or 6 upwards, and then a couple of Samsung cases as well. But you might want to go and see what you think would work best for your business, and what your customers would want to buy. Just have a Google and see what cases are available to you. Why you should go and get a good printer. So my first sublimation printer came with cartridges that you had to replace and fill with the ones that originally came with the printer, and you were able to fill them up. So once the ink ran out in the cartridge, you'd just be able to put more ink into them, which sounds super easy to do, but I had so many issues with those cartridges. They broke. I had to get several replacements for different colours. My first batch of them, none of them ever worked with the printer I received them with, that I got from my supplier, who gave me a whole bundle which included the heat press and the ink cartridges, but they never worked for me, so I had to get some more from somewhere else, and it was just a bit of a nightmare. They'd always break, they never worked properly, and I ended up spending most of my time trying to get the ink to work properly with this printer, and I often found that it would print like just one colour. I'd try and print something off, but it'd only print the yellow in the image, or it'd only print like the pink or something, and then as soon as it started working again and started printing all the colours, it would then stop printing the yellow. So it was just so frustrating for me, so I just decided that I needed to get it refunded and sent back. and get a new one sent to me, and I am now using an eco tank which has the ink cartridges kind of built into it, so it's just, you just put the ink directly into the printer, so there's no issues with using cartridges that might not necessarily work with your printer. Overrides all the issues I was having, and it's worked so much better. Though I wouldn't say it's 100% perfect, and I do need to clean some of the wheels out every now and then, but I really prefer it, and I would recommend that as a good, fairly cheap sublimation printer. But there are lots of different options out there, so I recommend going and giving a Google again and seeing what works best for you. But I would suggest maybe spending a little bit more money than you would have liked, maybe £150 or something like that. That's how much the eco tank cost me. So, you know, don't buy a printer that costs £30 because it probably won't agree with sublimation. And make sure you get one that does work well for sublimation so you don't ruin it from the insides. So make sure you get a good printer.
The places where you can get your supplies from to make phone cases.
So I get my supplies from all over the place. There isn't any one set place that I get everywhere, but I would definitely recommend eBay, Amazon, and AliExpress. It's probably my most favorite places to look for something, especially as I kind of like having things that little bit cheaper and kind of so I can make more profit in my business. But make sure you don't lose quality when you're going for something cheaper. I found the products I wanted just by Googling and researching and continuously looking up what I needed and what I wanted, and then kind of comparing prices as well to make sure I got the best deal. There are whole companies out there that only sell sublimation blanks. So sublimation blanks are products that you can print on, so it might be blank t-shirts, phone cases, key rings, lanyards, makeup bags, mirrors, anything like that. You might be able to find them as a sublimation blank, which means they are ready to immediately start printing on. You just buy the blank item, so the blank mug for example, and then you take it to your heat press, you press your design on it, and there you go, you've got the finished design. You will probably find that the majority of these places sell identical items because they will get their supplies from the same places. I don't really like sharing much about where I get my cases from, mostly because my supplier does go out of stock quite regularly, so I do want to be able to get them myself. But I also think that it's important that you pick somewhere that's good for you, especially as my company is just UK based, so most of my viewers are from the US. So I don't really know what would be good for you guys, but if you Google sublimation blanks, you will find so many great options out there, so you can just see what works best for you. As I mentioned, I got my heat press and printer in a bundle. So the place I got them from hasn't really been great. I had a really bad experience with them, with the printer breaking. They just never replied to my emails, and in the end I had to call them up. And they refused to give me a refund at first because I'd contacted them 3 months outside of the warranty date, which isn't true. I'd been emailing them for months before then, but I just hadn't heard back. So I did, luckily enough, manage to get my refund, but I wouldn't suggest going for them. And I don't think they even sell the bundle anymore, so I really wouldn't know where you could get a bundle like that from, but you can buy all the parts separately anyway. And as I found, I feel like these bundles provide you with a cheaper printer, so they then make more money. So I'd recommend probably buying everything separately. Anyway, I thought I would have been okay doing it, but now looking back to it, I wish I just hadn't bothered doing it because I thought I was saving money, but I wasn't really, because I ended up having to buy the expensive printer in the end anyway. My new printer I did get from Amazon, and my heat press is called Pixamax. So if you have a Google on that and see what different independent websites sell that, you might be able to find something. Amazon and eBay do have lots of different options, but I haven't seen the heat press I've got on there since. So it's possible my heat press isn't possible to buy anymore. But heat presses come in all shapes and sizes. My one's a very heavy duty, sturdy one, and you can get some more flimsier ones which would be fine to print on t-shirts or phone cases. The one I've got is really good at printing on a lot of different things, and it even came with extra add-ons. So it came with a mug press, plate press, and a hat press, which I haven't really used much, but it came with them, so that is something you can look into getting. And then the size of the heat press can vary as well. You can get different types of ones. I think you can even get really small ones, that are tiny, like, you know, that big or so. So it really depends what you want to print on. So decide that. If it's just phone cases, you might be better off going for a smaller handheld one. But I wanted to go for the big one as I print on lots of different products, not just phone cases. The sublimation ink I use is actually unbranded. I just bought it off Amazon and I've had no issues with it. There are people that recommend using certain branded sublimation inks, but I haven't had an issue with using the ones that are unbranded. So I would say just see what you can, maybe experiment with different inks if you don't like one, but I've never had an issue with the type I've got. But I will link it below down in the description if you want to see what ink I have. And then I also got my sublimation paper. I think I've got them both from Amazon. I might have got one from eBay, but I'll also link them down below in the description too. Again, you want to make sure you get paper that will fit in the heat press and your printer. It has to be sublimation paper for it to work. But you can get lots of different types and sizes and everything, so that really depends. And I believe in America your paper sizes are totally different to what we've got in the UK anyway, because we go through A4, A5, etc. So you might want to have a look around and see what paper would work best for what you want to print on.
How I design the art for my phone cases.
As a freelance illustrator, I really wanted to make sure that my business only had products in that I had designed and created myself completely from scratch. So all my phone cases that you see were drawn by me. I have had a lot of questions asking about what software I use, and I use Procreate to draw my illustrations. I do sometimes use Photoshop to make changes on things that I couldn't do with Procreate, but that's not very often, and I definitely think Procreate is a good tool to use, and I prefer it so much being able to like draw on the go with an iPad. Or you could just straight up design it in Photoshop or any other drawing program. I made a video a while ago comparing Procreate to Photoshop and then iPad to a Wacom tablet. If you want to go and check that out, I've also linked that down below in the description too. If you're struggling to think of ideas of what you want to print on your phone case, just think about what you want to have on your phone case and kind of start from there and go from there, and maybe have a little bit of look around to see what are sold in shops and what phone cases are available right now, to kind of get an idea of what's popular and how you can adapt those ideas into your own designs.
How I print out the designs from my printer.
I set my document / canvas size to the size of paper I'm going to be printing on. So if I'm printing on A4, I will set the canvas size in Procreate to A4. Printing on my smaller paper, I will set it to that, which is 21 centimeters by 9 centimeters. Obviously, if your paper is a different size, you then want to set it to that size, but that's the easiest way I'd recommend doing it, so you can kind of get an idea of how it's going to look. And it just makes printing so much easier if your canvas is the same size as the paper you're printing on. Then when it comes to actually printing out the design, make sure that you select the size of paper that you have. You might have to add in a customs option, as I did have to do that for my 21 by 9 centimeter paper. But you might not need to do that if you're using like a more standard size like A4 paper. With my eco tank, I also have to go into the settings and select high quality when printing. This wasn't needed with my old printer and it wasn't even an option to me, but I would recommend doing this if your printer requires it. The sublimation print isn't going to be as nice as it would have done if you'd printed it on high quality.
How I print on my phone cases.
So now you have your design ready, all your supplies sorted, you're ready to print on your phone case. So what you need to do is take the insert of your phone case and take it over to your heat press, and you want to turn your heat press on. So I set my heat press at 50 seconds at 365 Fahrenheit. So this is kind of confusing because I am from the UK and we use Celsius, but my heat press came with built-in Fahrenheit temperature. There's no way to change it, that's just how it is. So it's super important you make sure that you know what measurement your heat press is set at, so you can set the temperature at the right thing. If you're printing on Celsius, you want to print it at 185, and if it's Fahrenheit, it's 365. So that's quite a big difference if you end up printing on 185 Celsius on a Fahrenheit printer. So your design just wouldn't come out at all because the heat isn't hot enough. So double check to make sure you know what you need to set your heat press at. So while it's heating up, you want to prepare your foam case for printing. So you want to get your design and line it up how you want it to be lined up. And then I like to take my heat resistant tape and kind of just stick that over the foam case and the design. You don't have to do this, but I find this a really good idea to stop ghosting happening, which ghosting is basically when the design moves and you're kind of left with the images kind of repeated, but it's a little bit more faded. I would recommend using the tape to reduce a lot the loss of some sublimation blanks that didn't work out, and it just makes your life a little bit easier, but it's not necessary, but you should do it. So then I put some baking paper down on the heat press, put the sublimation case and the design into the heat press. You want to have the design on top so that can then get imprinted onto the foam case. And then I put another piece of baking paper across the top of it just to protect it from the heat so nothing burns. Then once the timer starts, you need to take your lever, pull it down, make sure it's all the way down. It might be a little bit stiff, but you need to get it all the way down. And then you just wait for 50 seconds until your heat press is finished. And once the timer has stopped, you can lift up the lever again and take out your printed foam case. Then you just need to peel off the plastic to reveal the sticky part of the phone case, stick on the phone case insert onto that, and you've got your finished phone case. So I really hope I kind of explained and show you how you can print your own sublimation phone cases. If you have any questions, please leave them below as I will help you out the best I can. I will link my supplies though in the description so you can see what I have bought. I made this video because I made a studio vlog a few weeks ago where I was designing and printing on my phone cases, and I had a lot of questions about how to make them, so I thought I would teach you how you can make your own. I hope this did come in handy and answer some of your questions you were having, because I was getting a lot of them. But thank you so much for everyone who watched and liked that video. I really do appreciate it, because in terms of my little small channel, 1,000 views is, 1,500 views is quite a lot for me when I do get that many, and I really do appreciate it if you guys did watch that video. So this is kind of a bit of a follow-up to that. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a huge thumbs up and leave a comment below if you have any questions for me. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button if you're new here, and I will see you next time. Bye!